I think that the Cleveland Browns have actually really figured this thing out. And I don't think that these are the same old Browns anymore. I think that this is a franchise that has been lost at sea with no map, no compass, no land in sight. And it's just kind of been drifting around, hoping to eventually end up somewhere someday. But I can honestly say that from what I am seeing from this organization and this franchise, I actually think that there is real hope for Browns fans here. Because not only do I think GM Andrew Berry is very underrated, the job that he's done drafting, especially on the defensive side of the ball, bringing in free agents, personnel-wise, bringing in Todd Monken to be the head coach, a guy that everywhere he's been, the offenses are really explosive, very dynamic, whether that was in Tampa with Mike Evans, when he was the OC in Cleveland, right, with Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, when they were absolutely balling, winning national championships at Georgia with Stetson Bennett as the quarterback, most recently in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, where the offense was very high-flying, very explosive. Because we already know that the Browns, right, coming off of a 5-12 season, the defense was not the problem. For as bad as the offense was all year long, this defense was playing at a ridiculously high level week in and week out, which to me is rather hard to do when you don't have an offense that can really do much of anything, and you're relying on your defense time in and time out, and they are out there a lot, man. And they are still being a dominant force. That is very impressive. So I think the Browns are sitting back going, well, what if we could just have a competent offense? We got an elite defense, and they're still going to have an elite defense, in my opinion. I understand that, losing Jim Schwartz, that's a little bit of a blow because I think that he's a very good defensive coordinator, a great defensive mind. But to me, this is a defense that is going to be very high level with or without Jim Schwartz because of the talent and the personnel that they have on that side of the ball. And so now you bring in Todd Monken, a guy who has a ton of experience, a no-nonsense type of guy, who's going to come in, say it like it is, which maybe rubs people the wrong way. He's kind of an intense dude. And he's kind of here, let's just kind of look at it like this. I think he's here to fix the offense, and he's here to figure out what are we doing at quarterback. Because you have a 30-year-old Deshaun Watson who has not played a game, I think, since October of 2024. A guy that, the Browns had Baker Mayfield. They had a couple solid seasons, got to the postseason, were able to win a playoff game, and then it felt like it kind of just ran its course with Stefanski. It was a disaster this past season, and so they moved on. And now you bring in Todd Monken, you inject new life, new energy into the building, and so you essentially have this quarterback competition going on, right? Is it going to be Dylan Gabriel? Is it going to be Shedeur Sanders? Is it going to be Deshaun Watson? Is it going to be someone that they draft or bring in? I'm not sure about all that. And I don't think it's going to be Dylan Gabriel. I think he showed you that he's a solid, maybe at most second string guy, a guy that can come in, not really turn the football over, kind of manage the game a little bit. I don't think he has what it takes to be a starting quarterback in the league. Never did. Thought he was a solid player in college, but I'm like, this isn't a guy that is going to be a starter in the league. And just the way we saw things managed, right? Going from Flacco, I understand you brought in some rookie quarterbacks, having a veteran presence around, a guy that's been there, done that, won a Super Bowl. But then going from him to Dylan Gabriel, it just felt like the dynamic was very, very strange between Stefanski and Shedeur and all those kinds of things. We get it. So you bring in Todd Monken, who to me seems like he has really hit it off with Shedeur. Seems like they have a really good relationship that I think is only going to get better and blossom. And Shedeur is 24 years of age. And he got quite a bit of playing time in his rookie season. And I know a lot of people are critical of what they saw from Shedeur, but let me ask you this. Did he have a good supporting cast on the offensive side of the ball surrounding him? The answer is, there's no other answer other than no, he did not. The offensive line was rough. The playmakers on the perimeter were banged up in and out of the lineup. The talent around him was very, very, very suspect. And the offensive line was not reliable whatsoever. Banged up, all kinds of different things, man. And then it felt like you had a coach that was not really putting you in a position to succeed. So now you kind of have this open quarterback battle that I feel like a lot of this is, in my opinion, right? Do they go the direction of trying to resurrect Deshaun Watson, a guy that they made a massive commitment to, moving all the draft capital, bringing him in, giving him a massive contract, the off-the-field stuff, the injuries, hasn't played in a while. Is that what Todd Monken's here for? To try to get Deshaun Watson back on track, try to get him back to that player that we saw where I thought he was one of the most elite quarterbacks in the league at one point. But are we really trying to kind of go back into the past and reinvent that here? Is that what we're trying to do? Bring that back to life? Or is it the fact that Todd Monken is here to really help develop Shedeur Sanders and turn him into that franchise quarterback that I feel a lot of people think he could be? And I'm one of those guys. I think that Shedeur Sanders not only has the star ability, or the star power, I think he showed a ton of flashes playing with a bad offense and bad coaching, in my opinion, and went out there and played pretty well in moments. Obviously had some turnovers, made some rookie mistakes, which is going to happen, but he was pushing the football down the field. He was not scared to make things happen, man. Buy time, run a little bit, check the football down. He was making quick, decisive decisions. And when you bring in a guy like Todd Monken, who has a good relationship with Shedeur, I think he's going to be able to help, build on that relationship, help bring more confidence to Shedeur, who's already a very confident guy, in terms of putting him in positions to succeed, putting him in positions where we're building the game plan around you and your strengths and, how we really want to proceed to move forward. Because I think that that's what a lot of this is about, man. Sure, maybe they go with the veteran guy, Watson. Maybe Deshaun comes back off the injuries and he looks great and they put him in there because this is an elite defense. And this is an offense that has went out here and added some really good pieces, right? They lost some linemen, some guys that are a little bit older, but they bring in Jenkins, bring in Zion Johnson, Titus Howard, right? They're going to continue to revamp the offensive line. But when you look at the backfield, you got Judkins, Sampson, Sanders. This to me is a deep and dynamic backfield. I think Judkins he has star ability in the backfield, man. And then at the wide receiver position, you got Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, Isaiah Bond, a guy who I showed flashes and I think has a ton of potential. You bring in Tylan Wallace, who's familiar with Todd Monken's scheme in Baltimore, so he can help with the wide receiver room, helping them, kind of speed along in learning the offense. Jamari Thrash, a guy that I think showed some promise. And then you got Harold Fannin Jr. at tight end, who showed flashes of being a legit tight end in this league, man. And him and Shedeur, from getting a lot of reps together, man, they were like this. They were tied at the hip. They were on the same wavelength. And whenever you see that, that is a great sign. That's a great sign. So I love a lot of the moves that the Browns have made here. The defense is going to be elite. I have no doubt about it. So you're revamping the offensive line. I'm sure they're good. They got draft capital. They're going to revamp in the draft, bring in some other players as well, free agents. But I feel like that what we have seen in terms of they got the GM, you got the coach in Todd Monken, figuring out the quarterback position and how you want to proceed moving forward is really, I think, that is first order of business here. And my question to you is, do you really believe that they brought in Todd Monken to resurrect Deshaun Watson, get him back on track, and try to get him back to the player he once was? At 30 years of age, a guy coming off of injuries, a guy that hasn't played since, October of 2024? Or is he here because they saw flashes of a guy that has star power in Shedeur Sanders, a guy that the fans love, at least a lot of the fans that I've seen, right? The stadium was going crazy when Shedeur Sanders is out there. When he got thrown into the game, the fans are going nuts. He's got the star power. He showed you flashes. So you bring in a veteran offensive mind who, where everywhere he goes, his track record, the offenses are explosive. He can work with different styles of quarterbacks, mobile guys, pocket passers. He's able to, really scheme things up. So is that why Todd Monken is here? To say that this is an open quarterback battle and they're going to go through it. They don't just want to hand the job over to somebody, but they want to see Shedeur Sanders go out here and compete. They want to see the competition at the quarterback position. We're hearing Sanders is in the building. He's working really hard this offseason. In my opinion, I'm curious to know what you all think. I think that this is about the development of Shedeur Sanders and getting him on track, putting him in a system to where he feels confident, having a coach that he gets along with that is going to be able to put him in positions to succeed. Because if the Browns can figure out the quarterback position, which has been a problem for a while now, and you could get the offensive line kind of tightened up there, you continue to add out on the perimeter with pieces to get the football to. They got an elite defense. So I think that everything that we've seen from the Browns so far, I think this is the most promise that Browns fans have had in a really, really long time, man. And I've been very critical of the organization, saying it's a disaster, the ownership, a lot of that kind of stuff. But I feel like they've kind of started to figure some things out to where I think that this team is going to surprise some people in 2026.